Hey, okay, that game was an absolute shit show, man. That was really pathetic to watch. And not from a hockey perspective. I mean, the hockey plays that were made in these games were kind of nice. It was a decent hockey game. The Panthers, if you look at the score, they looked like they dominated the game, but they did not. The Canadians defended themselves pretty well. They had some opportunities. They played some decent hockey, not too good, not too bad. But yeah, that game was an absolute shit show. 90 minutes of penalty were given throughout this game. 53 for the Montreal Canadiens and 37 for the Florida Panthers. 3 fights, one for Arber Xhekaj, one for Michael Pizzetta, one for Mike Matheson. Apparently, Mike Matheson kind of had to fight. He fought against Matthew Tkachuk because he made a hit. He made a hit on Eric Stahl. He left the game. He looked concussed on that play. I'm not going to lie. He fell on the ice. That was a hit to the head. It was kind of dirty. I'm not going to lie. I know I'm a Habs fan, but I'm not going to defend Michael Matheson on that one. That was unnecessary, and that was kind of dirty. I'm not going to lie. He could have just played the puck and continue his play, but he decided to make a reverse hit on Eric Stahl straight to the head, and Eric Stahl stood up, fell back into the ice, and then he left for concussion protocol. He failed it. Apparently, he never came back in the game. So I get that. Matheson had to fight to kind of answer to what he did at the start of the game. He fought against Matthew Tkachuk. He did pretty well. Was not a one-sided fight. Mike Matheson, I never saw him fight before. I think it was like a third NHL fight or something like that. Yeah, he did all right. Arber Xhekaj fought against Smith, and I don't remember who Pizzetta fought against, but all those 3 fights happened in the third period. So that's kind of a weird thing to do. We don't see that a lot in today's NHL. When I was a kid, shit like that happened a lot, but recently over like the last 6 or 7, 8 years, shit like this that does not happen that often in the National Hockey League. And that game was pathetic. Why did I say pathetic to watch? Is because the way the game was officiated, the referees were terrible, and not only in their decision making and how they refereed that game. It turned out bad, and it turned out that way because of how they were refereeing the game. They were not taking the right decisions at the right time. They let the game escalate to a certain level where all players on the ice were frustrated. They were looking to kill off each other on the ice. There were a lot of attempts coming from Florida Panthers players to injured Habs player coming from Radko Gudas, coming from Mark Stahl, who was apparently trying to avenge his brother or something like that. Smith also wanted to absolutely fight Arber Xhekaj. He was searching him all game long. Xhekaj didn't seem like he wanted to fight. I heard that he's a bit injured to his left hand after his fight against Laurie last night. He injured himself, a finger, I think it was. It's not broken, but his finger hurts, and he did not want it to fight tonight, and Smith was after him all game long. And you notice on the fight, Xhekaj did not drop his left glove, and that's the reason why. And that's the reason why at first he looked like he declined Smith's offer. But Smith looked like he pissed off Arber Xhekaj a lot, and Xhekaj decided to drop the gloves. And I expected better coming from Smith. I mean, he was searching Xhekaj all game long. I thought he had better than that out of him, man. I expected at least a good fight, but Buddy got flipped like he was absolutely nothing out there by a Xhekaj who was fighting with one hand. So he looked weak on that, I'm not going to lie. So, yeah, pretty weak games by the officials. The game turned when the Florida Panthers scored their first goal. There was goaltender interference on that play, Matthew Tkachuk was straight in the middle of the crease, of the goalie crease, preventing Samuel Montembeault to do his job. And Florida Panthers player took a shot from the blue line. It went in. The Canadian contested that play. The referees took 5 minutes to make a decision, and then they came back saying that there were no goaltender interference, so that was a goal. And then the Canadians got another penalty for delaying the game, even though it's more like the referees delayed the game because they took 5 minutes to not even take a decision. So, the Panthers scored another one. And then after that, the Canadians were on the power play. Josh Henderson does a little cross-check to Radko Gudas' back. He falls on the ice. It was looking like Neymar Jr. out there. Deserved an Oscar for that one, I'm not going to lie. And like I've said multiple videos, the only teams that gets 2 minutes penalties for diving or exaggerations are the Montreal Canadiens, because Radko Gudas did not get anything for that. And then the Panthers ended up being on the power play again, and then they scored a third goal. And if the referees have made their job and they would have declined the first goal like they were supposed to do, I mean, that goal was the definition of goaltender interference. And when you read the rules of the National Hockey League, it says if a player prevents a goalie to make his job, it's not a goal. And that's exactly what Matthew Tkachuk was doing. He was preventing Samuel Montembeault to do his job. But apparently, since the shot was taken before Matthew Tkachuk touched Montembeault, it's a goal. So they're just inventing rules at this point. They're taking decisions and they're making up rules after they take the decision just to clarify what it was. For me personally, that was not a goal. And if the referees would have made their job properly, that game would have turned out different, because that's what completely killed off the Canadiens' momentum, because they weren't doing bad. And I'm not blaming the referees for the loss. They might would have lost that game if this didn't happen still. But yeah, that was just a weak game for the referees. The players were refereeing that game. And what made this even worse is that the Montreal Canadiens, they were doing a little thing. They were getting sent to the box. The Florida Panthers were flipping and pushing them, trying to injure them, cross-check, stick to the head, doing everything they could to prevent the Montreal Canadiens to play the game. And then Montreal Canadiens does a bit something wrong. 2 minutes. And then the Canadiens players started getting frustrated. They were just like, why is this getting called on me? But when they do it, you don't call anything. Because when you're a referee in the National Hockey League, if you're about to call something at some point in the game, let's say you call a cross-check on Josh Henderson when Radko Gudas kind of dived. You called it. It was weak. It was soft. You called it. And why the heck do you don't call a cross-check from the Panthers on the Canadiens that 10 times worse? It doesn't make any sense. And it proves that the referees in the National Hockey League are inconsistent. If you're going to call something at some point in the game, you need to call it all game long. Because if you don't, you lose the trust from the player, and this is what happens. They become frustrated, and you lose control of the game. And this is exactly what happened tonight for this game. And this was not even watchable at the end of the game, man. That was just penalty after penalty after fight after penalty. And a lot of Florida Panthers players, like I said, were trying to injure the young guys on the Montreal Canadiens team, and I find it disgusting. Yes, the Matheson hit at the beginning of the game was dirty and disgusting. And personally, I would suspend him for one game for that hit. 110%. But that's not a good reason to try to injure the other guys that did not have nothing to do with the hit. And honestly, I think that the referees look like a bunch of child trying to win an argument tonight. They gave it 10 minutes to David Savard just because he said they were doing a terrible job. How does that even make sense? And I see all the times Montreal Canadiens player getting 10 minutes, getting kicked out of the game for that reason, but I never see anything like that happen to other team when they're facing them. I've seen the other day Sidney Crosby complained for half an hour to a referee, but he doesn't get anything because he's Sidney Crosby. But if it's David Savard who does it, and if it's Brendan Gallagher who does it, he gets a 10 minutes. And talking about Brendan Gallagher, let's just imagine that on the first goal of the Panthers, where the Canadians challenge it, let's just imagine it's the Canadians scoring that, and instead of Matthew Tkachuk, it's Brendan Gallagher. They don't even look at it, and they decline the goal before they even look at it. And this is what's disgusting about the National Hockey League, is their inconsistency about what they call. If it's a certain player, they won't call on him. If it's a certain group of players, they won't call on him. It's disgusting. If it's Gallagher, just because he has a reputation to be around goaltenders, oh, it's a no-goal. He has At the minute you think like that, you're not neutral anymore. You need to put all the players on the same level, all the teams on the same level. And at the minute when you say in your head, oh, this guy's like this guy's like that. Oh, I'm not calling this on him. I'm not calling this on him. I'm calling this on him. Blah 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 blah. You're not neutral anymore. And when you're a professional referee in one of the major sports league in North America, you need to be neutral. All right. Oh, this team is first in penalty minutes. I'll call everything on them so I just don't lose control. You need to start the game off as a referee with your head completely empty. You don't know any of the teams. You don't know any statistics about any teams. You don't know any players. And you go on ahead and you referee the game in that way. This is how it should be. And when you call something on the player and the same thing happens later in the game, if you called it first, you call it now. Or else it doesn't make any sense and you look unprofessional. And this game prove it. They lost control completely of that game. If there were no referees in that game, it wouldn't change anything. The players weren't scared of getting kicked off or anything, because the referees were a bunch of chicken who were just calling penalties just to not look bad, but they looked even worse. And yeah, not saying at all that the Canadians lost that game because of the referees. Did they impacted the way of the game? Yes. They did change the outcome of the game? Yes. Would have the Canadians lose anyways? Probably yes. But when you're an NHL referee, you should not impact the game in the way they did tonight. And it was honestly a disgusting game to watch. This is not why I watch hockey. If I would want to watch something like that, I would watch UFC. This was disgusting, and it made me angry. This was not fun to watch, and I sure hope that the game against the Maple Leafs 2 days from now will be a lot better. I want to see intensity without the dirty shit, like a good playoff game. That's what we want to see, intensity without the dirty hits. And Radko Gudas, I hope one day he'll meet his man, because this guy's a dirty player, and he proved it again tonight by some of the hit he tried to make. He did not succeed on any of the hit he tried to make, but yeah, he's just a dirty player, and he tried to injure Kirby Dach. He tried to injure a lot of guys with his legs, with his elbow, and just like Jacob Trouba, I don't like those type of players. And if you're not capable of bringing anything else than that, you do not deserve to be in the National Hockey League, in my opinion. So yeah, let me know what you guys all think about this in the comments below. It's been your boy Tropical Habs, and I'll see y'all later for another video. Have a nice rest of your day, and bye-bye.